Well, Mary, thank you for coming on the red carpet round table.
Woo! Happy to be here.
You're very welcome. Can you tell everyone what got you into the entertainment industry?
Yes. So I have wanted to be in the entertainment industry since preschool. I was actually begging my parents to be an actress after seeing the movie Annie with Carol Burnett. And I had very strict Irish Catholic parents. And so that was a hard no. And I continued to work on them. And they put me in all these kinds of dance. And eventually they put me in Irish step dancing, which I couldn't stand at first. It was so technical and I didn't really have a choice. I had to stay in it. So I ended up becoming a champion Irish step dancer. And while Irish dance is very competition based, there's still really, we get a lot of performances under our belts every year. And that was my favorite part. I loved performing. I treated the competitions like a performance, and I was also first chair flute. And so I was performing a lot there. But it was one of those things that I just wanted to act. And when I was in middle school, I was allowed to take drama class and improv. So I did that and landed some roles, but it was like God was also saying no. It was strange things that they would just, things that seemed like a sure thing would end. And so it wasn't in the stars at that point. And then what was funny was with the Irish step dancing, because it was so technical, and when you get more advanced, it's just those steps are even more,
Hmm.
just in, 3 seconds, you're doing like 80 different things with your feet. And it was really hard to memorize those steps. And I told myself that when I was 18 and I could have chosen to go into acting at that point, I told myself that I couldn't memorize lines because I couldn't memorize steps. And I had this belief, and while I'm typically an optimistic person and roll the dice and everything, that was this like secret anchor that was holding me back. And it wasn't until I became a teacher and I looked at teaching as, oh, this is my chance to be on stage in front of the students. And then the news flash was, no, to be a good teacher, you actually need to let the students shine. And I was like, curses, why is this happening? But it was great. I mean, I loved the kids. And what ended up happening, I ended up teaching these English language learners that were at a really, really low income school. And I had a ton of support. I will say I've never seen a school like this in my life, but those kids ended up getting the highest reading scores in the entire school district. And these kids didn't speak English as their native language. They were very low income. And this one kid in particular, I won't even go into his whole story, but I thought if that child can learn to read, I can memorize lines. There's no excuse. And
Right.
so just with all the techniques I learned, and I just have such a passion for learning, that I thought, no more excuses. So,
Wow.
yeah, basically, there were a few other things that happened, but finally decided to get into acting. What was happening is I was watching a St. Patrick's Day festival, and there was a band playing. There was a woman playing the harp, and I just like felt that pang of wanting to perform again. So I started by picking up the harp and I loved it. I loved playing it. But as it as it went on, I was like, girl, you know what you really want to do. Like, let's go. There's like time is of the essence. So that's when I decided.
Wow. And how does acting strengthen you as today?
Say that again.
How did acting strengthen you so far today?
How does acting strengthen me? Um,
Yes.
I mean, I think it strengthens me because I'm this was the first dream that I ever had in my heart. So I feel like I'm living my purpose. So there's a lot of other noise in the world that I
Hmm.
just don't hear. It just doesn't even get on my radar because I'm so focused and aligned and enjoying the process of what I'm doing.
That's amazing. And this has always been your passion to be an actress.
It has, it has. So it's so fun that finally the time is right.
Right. it took you, now you're auditioning and getting some roles. Let's talk about auditions. What have you noticed the challenges about auditions?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, I'm a new actor, so I feel like some of it is the challenge with auditions is the same challenge I would have in an acting class or in any situation, is that there's still so much to learn. There's so many parts of it. If we just take the acting piece, I'm somebody who loves a formal education. And I'm still in the process of finding what is that acting
Hmm.
technique that I really want to commit to and dig my teeth into and just because I'm like an all in, all obsessed kind of a person. And there's a couple that are on my radar right now, like Meisner and Ivana Chubbuck that I want to look into more. Um, so there's some of it is just the acting piece that's just as challenging in an acting class or a role that you've been given as an audition. But then obviously with self-tapes, there's that whole technical piece and the lighting and the camera and all that, there's all of that stuff too, which on one hand is challenging, but on the other hand, I love the instant feedback. So my process now is that as soon as I start practicing for that audition, I turn my phone right on and I'm getting feedback immediately. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, let's change that. So that's also the nice part of it.
Right. And end up being it being doing auditions is you have to have a thick skin. Well, in this entertainment industry, first of all, because auditions like, you know, um, a lot of beginners, especially teenagers and elementary school kids, they're realizing, oh my goodness, am I not tall enough? Am I not pretty enough? What's going on? My hair not long. That's for female. Male example could go on and go on and go on. So a lot of people don't realize you have to have a thick skin to be in the entertainment industry.
Yes.
It's the truth. You
Yeah,
do.
for sure.
And that's the story of the momentum. Whew, tongue twisting there
I know, right?
about about the entertainment industry. That I think a lot of audience and a lot of people don't realize behind the scenes. They see the actors and actresses on screen, but don't realize what it took to get that
Yeah.
role.
How many
To
no's they got before they got that one yes?
right.
Yeah.
That's so true. What was the big moment that showed you that you were in the right path?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked me this question. So, for me, the big exciting thing that happened was last May. So, we have a great acting school here called Verve, and I did something called an industry night. So, for people that don't know, that's where you do a scene with a scene partner, and other actors are also doing their scenes. And the teacher invites people from the industry to come watch us perform so that we can make connections and go from there. So we did this, we worked really hard on it. It was in the kind of in the summertime, like late May. It tends to be where I'm bragging about the January weather now. I'll be eating humble pie come this summer. So it was hot. We didn't have, there weren't a ton of people that came, but it was great. It was a fun time. I was so sad the moment that, let's say the curtain dropped, the lights went dark and it was over. But we met people, we exchanged information. Not much happened after that. And then a couple of months later, I got a call from my scene partner, and he said that he was going to be doing this movie with one of the writer directors that was there, who I actually didn't even get a chance to connect with him that night. We got information, but I didn't get to talk to him that night. And he said, his name is John Martinez. He said, John wants you to be in his movie with me. And it was one of those moments that was so exciting. So it started with that. Then a couple days later, another one of the writer directors emailed me, the lovely Diane Dresbach, who's much loved in Arizona, and she asked me to be in a film challenge. So there was this 72-hour almost famous film challenge that she asked me to be in. So that happened, and that was the first time I'd ever really had a meaty
Hmm.
role in something and there were cameras rolling and everything else like that. And, it was great to see. I got to see myself on the screen, 10, 20 days later, whatever it was, which was, I mean, it was amazing. It was exciting. There's all these people in the community. And it was funny. It's a small community here. Like, you show up to a few events and you realize, like, you kind of know everybody already. So it was just one of those things where you're just overwhelmed with love, and
Hmm.
excitement and support. And then I met the first writer director that I was talking about, John Martinez. I met him for coffee. And I had read the script. It's called R.E.M. And he said, and I said, oh my gosh, yes, of course. I'm so excited to be in it. And he's telling me about the movie. And he said, in the script, there's a scene where the star of the movie breaks into a vacant house that's for sale. And I said, oh, yeah, I saw that. And he said, well, I know you're a realtor. Is that something you could help us with? And I said, absolutely. And what's funny was my stage last name, so Bordeaux, is the same name as this luxury custom home builder. And they needed, excuse me, they needed help with marketing. And there are a lot of realtors in Arizona. And
Right, right.
but the main real estate agent, we've known each other since we were 5 years old, but it was because of that last name being the same last name as the builder that he went, oh, I should ask Mary if she has time for this. So I'm now doing marketing for these, multi-million dollar homes. And this writer and director is asking me if I can get my hands on a house. And I'm like, boy, oh, can I ever? And it's, worth millions of dollars and it's vacant right now. So he said, well, guess what? If you can do that, that's going to make you a producer. So it went like this. I would have never, that wasn't even on my radar, on my wish list of things. And then he's got all these other movies either written or he's in the process of writing. And he's, telling me, I could see you as this character in this movie and this character in this movie. And it just became this amazing partnership. And that alone right there would have been enough. Wrap that up in a box and happy birthday, Merry Christmas. That would have been it. But more things just keep happening. With Marilyn, we've got that connection. And there's been a number of other opportunities that I've had that all came from that night. And some of them, I mean, I would say a lot of them end up finding me. And that feels like, okay, Lord, thank you. I must be on the right path.
Yes, Marilyn is amazing. She's a
Isn't she?
wonderful person, and I know I'm glad you got connections and the film industry, and it's growing, and you made friends.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what the community is all about.
100%. Yeah, and it's a really beautiful community here. It's a really
Hmm.
supportive
So
community.
I want to dig into real quick. Any big projects you're coming up? Are you working on anything that you
Yeah,
can, if you're allowed to talk about? If not, I
yeah,
totally understand because you may have signed the DNA and
right.
all that. So
One thing I can't talk about, I filmed a commercial recently. I can't go into it more than that, but hopefully you'll see it on TV soon and
next
I'll
time we'll talk about it.
yeah, exactly. That was a lot of fun. That came through my agency, Signature Models and Talent. But a lot of the stuff, so right now we're working on that movie R.E.M. that I referenced. And then also through that, we are looking at doing a couple of commercials. So we're going to be doing a commercial for, I say commercial, it's more like an internet advertisement, for a coffee company called Cafe Bueno and a tequila company called Corridos Tequila. And so we're going to use our characters from REM to do these ads for these two products. So that's exciting. There's another movie that John wrote called Escrow, and I know you're going to be talking to John, so I'll let him give you more of the details, but Escrow is very exciting. It may end up being a feature length film. We're kind of figuring that part out. But I get to play the lead role in it, and it's a realtor who looks like life is shining on the outside, but yeah, it turns into
Can't ruin the story.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of drama
Yes.
after that. So that's a couple of the things. Yeah, another little thing I can't talk about just yet. But those I would say are the big ones. And then, yeah, like I said, John's got a few other movies written that
Hmm.
they're coming down the line. So
Can't wait to talk to John. Can't wait for
I
his
can't wait for
project.
you to either.
And he's amazing.
He is.
Need to reach out to him again. For yourself and being in Arizona, and is being as you're. I want to go back a little bit. You're a realtor,
Yes.
and that I gotta ask. And did you ever? I know you said you always wanted to be an actress, but did you ever saw yourself becoming a realtor slash an actress?
No, I did not. I definitely did not. It's funny because when I became a realtor, I loved teaching, but it's not a sustainable career for most teachers in Arizona, unfortunately. And so I needed something that was going to support me and that, I wasn't going to work a million hours a week on. And so I actually went to school for interior design. That is more what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was doing that, I was thinking, oh, it'd be great to design my own houses, do fix and flips. That's what I was thinking. And a bunch of my siblings were all getting their real estate licenses at the time. And so I thought, you know what? It's not a big deal to go through real estate school. I might as well just get it. And then I'll use it to do fix and flips and I'll use my interior design skills to do that. And so that was the plan. And then it just became one of these like, okay, Miss Lady of Leisure, who do you think you are? Like, you actually need to work. And so I really had to just end up falling back on the real estate and do that. And not that I don't still use what I learned in interior design, but it really, at first, the real estate thing was that. But while I was doing that, that's when I was watching the Irish parade and saw the harp player and that. Oh my God, that pang of just needing to perform and needing to be in the arts. I mean, I love the arts and I love interior design, but there's nothing like the performing arts for me. So that's kind of, yeah, how that went.
And here you are being a realtor and an
Yeah.
actress.
And that's what's so strange is with I would have never I mean, they do work. They're very complementary careers because I have
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
flexibility as a real estate agent. But that wasn't why I went into it. It wasn't the thought. But the funny thing is now that connection about using the houses to help my production team with these movies. Oh my goodness, I would have never thought of that.
It's the connection with people.
Yeah,
That's the
really is.
truth about the what do you call it? The people you get to meet in the film industry and go from there.
Yep.
That's absolutely true. I want to talk about what's your why? Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this? I think some of it is that it's almost a subconscious thing that I don't even understand why I was wired that way. But to I love to perform. I love to entertain people. I love to tell a story. I am 99.4% Irish. We are storytellers. This is what Irish people, I know there's a lot of other beautiful storytellers around the world, but I definitely think of, Irish people loving to tell a good
Hmm.
tale. And so some of it is that I just think me at the end of the day, I'm a people person. There's just nothing more fascinating. To me, there's nothing more important. I think spirituality, I think there's a lot of things that are very important and it's all interwoven, but people are it for me. And I think there's no art form that is closer and more primal than being an actor and storytelling that way.
Right. Storytelling. That's the
Hmm.
truth.
Yeah.
Storytelling is absolutely the the key in
Yes.
connections and
Yes.
people and helping each other.
Yes, and there's certain roles that just, like make me so excited. Like one of the movies I haven't talked about yet, but we're going to be making a movie that is called Moonshine. And my dream is to play an eccentric character. That would thrill me more than anything else. And this character I get to play in that movie, she is going to fulfill every dream I have. She was described to me as a hillbilly vixen, and she is a terror. It's in a land and in a place that is so foreign. It's got a supernatural element. So the Appalachian Trail, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's known to be very haunted and very cursed. A lot
Yes, that's what I've
of characters.
heard.
Yeah. And so we're going to be getting into that. And then a John movie wouldn't be a John movie without the drug cartel or something like that. So we're going to be mixing, these genres that are
There's
so,
no way I would live near the Appalachian
I
Mountains
know, right? Right.
because I've heard stories. I,
Oh, they're terrifying. They're terrifying.
and
I mean,
I've heard they're true. Like people would say, don't go outside at night or
don't go off the trail. If
make
somebody
sure
calls
you
you,
close the windows, don't look out the
yeah,
window. Like I've heard people say there's some
yeah.
weird things that actually do happen.
Oh, the stories I've been hearing are horrifying. They're just awful. And a little part of what he wrote in the movie is wretchedly horrifying. I think
No, if you mind me asking, let's go into that. I mean, we're getting a little off topic, but what's the stories you've heard? I mean, what's the stories? Let's talk.
okay, so one of the stories is that there is a woman in a wedding dress,
Okay.
and she's just moving across the forest, and she's not alive. And that is not somebody that you want to run into. Like you might not make it if you see this woman. Some of the stories I hear are about if you're, first of all, the first basic Appalachian 101 rule that I've been told is you do not go off the trail. You don't even step foot off of the trail. The minute you do that is when you're starting to flirt with danger. Definitely aren't going to be out there at night. Um, if you do hear a baby crying, you do not go after the baby. It is not a
course.
baby. If you hear your name being called, do not answer. It's not your name being called. It's not a pleasant thing for you.
That's
Um,
what I've heard. If you hear
yeah.
your names being called, don't go for. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. What else were you saying?
I've heard that you should put a mirror on your front door because when the devil comes to your door, he will be so enamored of his beautiful image, he'll get distracted and won't come in. I've heard that you should never open up a Bible and then leave it face down, that's inviting bad things in. Those are a few of the stories that I've heard so far.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Appalachian Mountains. Uh-uh.
Yeah, nope. But we're looking at going to film it there because why not?
Wow.
Yeah,
You guys are nuts. Don't get off the
I
trail.
know, I know. Except there's that little rebel in me that I told John, like, I might be running off the trail. I know you won't follow me.
It's interesting. Like I said, I've heard stories, people that live near Appalachian Mountain, they said that you hear things at night, in the middle of the
Yeah.
night, like
Yes, yes,
things in the woods that you don't normally hear. And like I've heard stories that police officers, in their town, like in the woods, you can hear things, but police don't go investigate because they're like, yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they said the Appalachian Mountains 100%. Yeah, they don't know.
yeah. And I heard that there are feral people that live out there, which is just to me is a very disturbing, actually heartbreaking. I hope that's not true. Yeah, but it's scary, some of the stuff.
Yeah, they said there's some weird things you see out there. Fine.
Hmm.
Yeah, like your baby name, your name calling,
Yeah,
or.
So go.
Yeah.
Woman in the wedding dress? No. There should not be a woman in the wedding dress
That's
in
the first time I heard that from you. I haven't heard that, but yes.
yeah,
Wow.
trouble.
Wow. 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 Um,
Right.
I'm so excited for you and the projects you're gonna be doing. Um, what's your dream role? What's your genre dream role?
My dream role, you know, I think there's two. Like, I think there's one sort of on the comedy side of an eccentric woman who's so flamboyantly over the top and out of touch, but she's somehow relatable somehow and funny and just I don't necessarily know what the story is behind it, but those kind of roles like on the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, uh gosh, I'm blanking on her name all of a sudden. It's Jane Krakau's character. Roles like that, My Name is Earl, Jamie Presley's character, roles like that, I would love that. That would be so much fun on that end. And then on the other end of the spectrum, well, there might be a couple. I think also playing,
Hmm.
I think like my brand is this sort of like Stepford wife on the outside, but scandal, total scandal and disaster underneath. So like there was a mini series called Sirens that came out, I think last summer. And actually a woman from one of my acting classes, Rouge Goldberg, was in it. And I just thought, God, that would be so delicious. Nicole Kidman was starring in it, and it was scandalous, absolutely
Oh yeah, I
scandalous.
remember it was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So something super scandalous I would love to do. I think that's one. And then the third one would be, a role that really benefits women, a role that says, this is the truth. This is some of what we go through. It's not pretty. It's awful. Like some of the things that women go through are horrible, and we're still beautiful, lovable
Hmm.
creatures. And to tell, a tale like that would be incredible.
That's amazing. Woman empowerment.
Woo!
That's the truth. Women empowerment in the film industry, women's stories, women directors. I feel like it's the women in the in film industry is really growing.
It is. Yeah,
So
absolutely is.
that's absolutely very important. So um, I gotta ask, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram at Mary A. Bordeaux, and I am on Facebook at the same name.
Wow. And do you have any, if you mind me asking, do you have any siblings that are also in the entertainment industry, or are you the only one?
So it's funny, my poor parents, they had four children. Three of them were very normal. One was not. So none of my siblings are interested in this stuff, but I think it's so fascinating because some of them had children who are. And so I have a niece who's a teacher, and she's really there's actually like a teacher network. It's she's pretty famous for that world where they fly her out to Vegas, they fly her out to all these
Mm-hmm,
conferences.
mm-hmm.
She has a huge following. And her brother is the biggest character that I've maybe ever met in this lifetime. And I think at some point this is going to find him because he was made for it. And then a few others that I think, I've got another niece that's a cheerleader, and she was one of the most beautiful Irish step dancers I've ever seen. Another nephew who's playing music. And I think it's coming for sure. I think the next generation is rising up with some of
It's
that.
you passed it along with your family.
I hope so.
Yes, um, next time I need to have Meryl on here as well with us.
Yes. Oh, how fun would that be?
Yes, I
I
would
would love
love to have her on. And
that.
John, maybe you can invite John.
Yes, absolutely. John would love to talk to you. I know John would love to. Yes. And he's a character. He'll have more stories, and he'll really get you into the Appalachian horror. He'll give you all the
So he
details.
he digs into it more.
he's like breathes this stuff. I mean, he breathes it.
Wow.
You'll get all
Yeah,
the
to be honest, I really didn't know about the Appalachian thing until, what was it? I was scrolling through a YouTube video. I don't know who this person was. He made a documentary about he stayed overnight in Appalachian Mountain at night by himself in a tent. No, me no, no.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he said there was some weird stuff happening. He
Mm,
said there was some he felt he was in his tent and he felt like there was somebody walking around touching his tent. I think it was him and his buddy. They were both in the tent. And they said that they hear things in the distance. They hear wood like when you're walking, you hear the footsteps,
yeah, yeah,
the wood breaking.
yeah.
They go out there and there's nothing. There's some weird stuff happening, and they couldn't sleep. They said well, next morning they were like, "Wow, we just this place is really." That's why they said don't go there at night.
You're like, why would you do that? That's crazy.
No, and then I should say I think it's the same guy. He was like going to Appalachian. He was like talking to other people who live near there, and um, they're like, yeah, don't look out your window, keep your window closed and stuff like that. Yeah, it was some weird things.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to learn a lot of the rules of the culture before we go down there. Sounds like it's a little different than here.
Yeah, it's interesting about the Appalachian Mountains. I did not know that. They-
Yeah, yeah, this is not something I grew up with either, but we're starting to learn about it and it's wild.
And I heard the Native Americans in that area, they're like, like it's been generation. I don't know. They just said there's some weird stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been hang around John. He will tell you all of the crazy stories. He's got stories for years to keep.
Yeah, we need. I would love to plan with Meryl and John and with you.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
fantastic.
we would need to do that. Um, so you talk about your upcoming projects. You're a realtor, of course, and then this crazy idea. I don't know why you guys doing it. The Appalachian Mountains. Okay. I think you guys are nuts, but
Yeah.
apparently John may not think you
Oh,
guys are
well,
nuts.
no, he's probably more on your side where he's like, we're not going off the trail. We are not like we are going to follow every single rule. We're not tempting these horrible creatures out there.
Yeah, until somebody does,
Yeah, he respects it for sure.
unless somebody does step off the throne, like, oh, there we go. So it's amazing, and as yourself, if you could go back when you're 10 years old, what would you tell Miss Mary at age 10?
You know, I would tell her hang on until middle school because there are going to be drama classes and there's going to be all these opportunities for you. But little Miss Mary, all of the ways that you sabotaged yourself, I was, rebelling against so many things. And um, yeah, I would have, it's like you're a kid. And I had reasons to rebel, but I wish I could have found a different outlet so that, I mean, there's that one thing like, oh, sure, I wish I could have followed this dream and I had that opportunity at that time. But there's also something to be said, like, I don't know what the grand master plan is. Like, would I
Hmm.
end up like one of these Hollywood starlets that doesn't make it out, doesn't make it
Right.
past 27, kind of a thing. Maybe that's what would have happened. I could see it having gone that way. So, and it was like all the things that did happen, having kids, being a teacher, other life experiences that I've had, they just really helped to round me out, to give me lots of life view, different points of view. So
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
like, I mean, I don't regret anything, but that would be the thing I would tell that,
Right.
10 to 20-year-old self, like, let's channel the rebellion somewhere else, perhaps.
Now, if you could go back in time Is there a moment in your career you wish you regret not doing something?
Um, you know, there's here's the first thing that comes to mind, maybe because I thought of it the other day. But when I was in middle school, um, everybody was like all my friends and everybody was trying out for cheerleading. And I was a champion dancer at that.
Hmm.
But with Irish dance, you can't have the hip flexibility that you would have in ballet and jazz and all of that. And so I remember hearing that you need to be able to do the splits to be on cheer. And I was still in that mentality of, oh, if those are the rules, well, I can't do the splits. And I just look back like, oh my gosh, like give me a break. Like
Hmm.
you could have talked them out of it. Or what wouldn't you rather have tried? And I just think those girls were some of my best friends. And we would teach, like I would teach them Irish step dancing, they would teach me their stuff. And it was such a great fit. I don't see that. I can't imagine that I wouldn't have been a part of that kind of a thing. And I did do some cheerleading before that and I loved it. I had fun with that. I loved gymnastics and that kind of stuff. And so I think it would have been, well, I wasn't allowed to do gymnastics and modern dance because of Irish step dancing. It was strictly forbidden because you couldn't have that hip turnout. But I could have at least tried out for I could have auditioned for the cheerleading team. I could have taken cheer maybe to a certain point. Um, and I just think that would have suit my personality and I would have had a lot of fun with that.
Wow. And you said you're a mother.
Yes, I have two boys. They're 20 and 22.
And are they interested in being an actor?
They are absolutely not interested in that one. One would probably rather die than, ever even being like the whole crowd looking at him. I don't think he would like that. The other one has actually been creating YouTube videos that are incredibly creative, but he doesn't put his face out there. They're amazing, but he narrates them. And I had been telling him since he's kind of more like my mini me. I had been telling him since he was little, you need to be on YouTube. You would be perfect for this. And it was like, Mom, Mom says it, there's no way. And now he goes, oh yeah, okay, Mom, I should have listened to you. You had a point. So
Well,
yeah.
he hopefully he does become an actor.
Yeah, and he doesn't, and I've given him opportunities. There was something where I ha actually had um, a pass that I was allowed to give somebody for a great studio here called Deering. And I offered it to him, and he just said, no, I'm not interested in acting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe
Yeah,
one day. You
exactly.
know, I'm so glad that I got to be able to speak with you, Mary. I'm
You
so
too.
honored. And thank you for following me on Instagram.
Yeah, I
Uh,
love watching all your interviews. And now I get to see a lot of the friends that I have and people I get to act with. So that's,
yes, I do appreciate it. I've interviewed Shane,
yeah,
and Meryl.
Celia, Marilyn. Yeah, quite a few people.
Yes, but I do appreciate it because, like I said, we all support each other in the entertainment industry,
Mhm.
and that's important. We're a
In life,
family.
right? That's right.
So, and that's so and here you are in it, and and there's nothing you regret. This is something we all love what we're doing.
Yes.
Just to pursue our dreams and our goals and keep the path going.
Yep.
Can't, it's not a word. We can do it.
Oh yeah, yeah. 100%. Oh, 100%. And I just love that you forge your own. Really, the best thing is to forge your own path and make up your own rules. And I especially think at this point in life, it's like, pff, yeah, like I can't imagine living life any other way.
100%. Well, Mary, thank you again for coming on.
Okay, thanks so much, Ryoichi. I look forward to staying in
Yeah, and
touch.
I really enjoyed our conversation. I really look forward to speaking with you because, and hopefully we'll get Meryl and John on here
That'd be fun.
and We can talk about the Appalachian Mountains.
That would probably scare Marilyn, but yes, John will go off about that all day long.
Well, yeah, we need to contact John. You should
Yeah.
contact John and see if
Yep.
we get him on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he would love to. I'm,
Yes,
but he had mentioned he would love to.
yes. So I would love to talk to him. So definitely we'll get Meryl and John and yourself on here. I would love to talk to all of you at the
Okay.
same time and talk about the film industry, your projects, upcoming projects, and commercial. I can't wait for your commercial. Is it going to be nationwide, by the way? Are you allowed
I
to say
don't,
that?
I don't know for, I didn't honestly, I don't look at that stuff too
Okay,
much, but
okay, it's okay.
I don't think that it is. Don't quote me on it, but I'll keep you posted once we have something that I can share.
Yes, please do. Well, thank you again, and I look forward to speaking with you, and I look forward to having you back on soon.
Hey, sounds good, Ryoichi.
All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.